Welcome to Ghoulish Gab, always spooky, always under 7 minutes. Today we're just going to talk about some of our all-time favorite final girls. I don't think we need to explain that to you. These are the clever characters who make it to the end of the film.
You don't get to talk into the mic, Seymour.
Yeah, sometimes there's a puppy on this show, and he wants to eat my microphone. We'll be okay. So do you want to start us off with something?
Yes, I'm going to start off with one of my most recent favorite final girls, Margot from The Menu. Now,
yeah.
I didn't get to do as much research as I normally do before these, so this one I know is Anya Taylor-Joy, but some of these actresses I might not know their actual name. But she was so smart. And she's totally in a situation she didn't want to be in. And even though it's not maybe necessarily as frightening as some of our other final girl situations and not as many movies, I think that she was super intelligent. She got out of there through ordering a hamburger, you got to respect it. She's excellent. I like Margot.
I was a fan of that character in that movie as well, too. I'll start out with a newer one as well, too. Maxine Minx, who, of course, survived through X, and then Maxine as well, too. So, first of all, she made it through two insanely treacherous old people trying to kill her. And then she makes it through... the whole thing in LA with the cult and her dad and all those other mother effers. And she was a badass the whole time. So definitely one of my favorite, more modern final girls. She was smart and she knew what she wanted and she went out there and got it.
Hell yeah, she did. All right, so I would like to talk about, of course, one of the queens, Ellen Ripley.
Oh, yes.
Some would argue she might be the ultimate final girl. She needed no help. She got all of her shit done in space. And she wasn't just having to defeat a serial killer. This was one of the most terrifying creatures in horror cinema, in my opinion. And she kicked its ass. So Ellen Ripley, I would argue, is the best final girl.
I don't think many people would argue with you, especially through the first two movies.
Oh, yeah.
She goes back for seconds because a bunch of idiots were going to do it. And she's like, you can't do this without me.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's one that I'm gonna go with, talk about Gale Weathers from the Scream franchise for a second. Because, of course, the first thing you think to do is go to Sidney Prescott, who, of course, respect to her. But then you have Gale, who has survived all 40 of these movies. And she's had to go through her fair share of attacks and ass kicking as well, too. And, she starts out as being one of those characters that you're not super fond of. And then by the end, you're rooting for her, you're into her. So she's kind of like the second tier final girl in that franchise. But, she's in more of the movies than Sidney. So
Sidney Prescott was actually on my list. And I think the reason you make a very good point about Gale. Also, the fact that she's a career woman. She's career oriented. And she got it all handled, She got it all taken care of while growing in her respective community.
I shouldn't have set the puppy down. Here, I'm going to shout out Jess Bradford, who was played by Olivia Hussey in the 1974 Black Christmas, one of the earliest slasher films. So kind of one of the earlier final girls in horror. And I think she set the pace for, being a smart and, one of those characters who's thinking ahead and is not just, having to fight back with, weapons and stuff like that. She's a smart character and she does smart things to survive that film.
I like Sarah from The Descent. I'll talk to you guys, right? Because he's got to go handle something with the dog. Sarah from The Descent not only survived this terrifying cave, which why would you go into a cave? That's dumb. If you are a cave person, Good for you. I still think it's dumb. But not only did she survive going into a cave, she survived going into a cave with monsters. And she survived going into a cave with the bitch that had an affair with her husband. And then she stabbed that bitch. So, Sarah, good job.
And
I haven't seen the second one, so I don't know what.
She pulls a Ripley in the second one.
Oh, really?
Essentially, other people are going in there to look for the other, the women who didn't survive.
Yeah.
And she tells them, don't go in there. She tells them what's in there, and of course they don't believe her. So she pulls the Ripley and goes back for a second time, which I thought was cool in that sequel.
Okay, I like that.
Heck yeah. Christy Cotton from the Hellraiser movies. Simply because here's another character she's very smart, but she's going up against the freaking Cenobites, and they're just insane terrors. So you have to shout that out as well too. But that's another character that's she's written as a smart character.
And you don't expect her to be, like the way that they made the movies, like you come into it and you think she's gonna, I mean, we know it now that she survived, but when you first watch it, you think she's gonna die.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I was convinced. And plus, I mean, evil stepmother, like that's also another challenge on top of the Cenobites. So
absolutely. Well, that's just about all the time we have today. Tell us about some of your favorite final girls in the comments. I know we didn't talk about Laurie Strode. Don't worry, we haven't forgot about her. We'll come back and talk about this subject again in the future. But anyway, tell us some of your favorites in the comments, what you thought about what we talked about, etc., etc. Okay.
And bye.
Bye.